गुड मॉर्निंग एंड वेलकम टू गना शॉट। गना शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है। टुडे वी गोइंग टू लुक एट समथिंग which I found, what is China's extend and pretend policy to resolve its debt crisis? Well, China is in deep trouble because of its debt. Its debt problem is well known. Okay, but this is a thing which I got out of the Chinese writing, and I felt I must share it with all of you. What is China doing really? It gives debt to someone, and that someone can't repay it back. Okay, so China knows that it can't be repaid back. So they extend the debt, they roll the debt over and pretend it's a problem of liquidity and all that, and not that it is a systemic problem. Then they do it again, and then they do it again, and then they do it again. That's what they're doing with Pakistan. That's what they're doing with most of their PRA projects. And that's what they're doing internally for most of their property projects or property related projects. I mean, this is something very fundamental. I think the time has come when they can't afford to do it anymore. And that's the first indications of this story coming. Extend and pretend. You extend it and pretend that there's no problem. So you extend the debt, pretend there's no problem. Extend the debt, pretend there's no problem. Till one day you can't do it anymore. I think that one day has come. That's what my reading tells me. And this is, I'm not talking of external debt. I'm not talking of the internal debt which is lying in China. Now, if they wake up to this, they have an option of doing something. If they don't wake up to this in a hurry, you'll see more pain coming. Why am I telling you this? Everyone says China can't collapse. I agree, China can't collapse. What do you do with 1.4 billion people? They can't vanish. Whether it's 1.3, 1.2, 1.1 billion people is a big figure. They can't vanish. So they'll be there. They're not going to collapse completely. There is infrastructure. There is everything. A lot of things are going there in China that it can't collapse overnight. But, well, just think of it this way. 3 years back, just 3 years back, no one spoke of the demographic crisis. Today, everyone is speaking of it. 5 years back, when I first spoke of this property problem, all that, and the property crisis is looming, people said, don't be silly, nothing. It's just a correction. So it's not a collapse. But now everyone says the property sector in China has collapsed. Now people said, no, it will collapse, it will come back again. Now that also no one is speaking. The same thing with demographic crisis. People said, no, this will happen in 2030. Even then, you'll have a birth rate of 1.7. Replacement rate 1.7. Oh, don't worry. But now it's suddenly the floor is shifted off. Same thing with debt. And this is connected immensely with consumption. Where is this debt manifesting? It's in consumption wars. Right? So we'll start with this, what's happening in China, and then see what's the effect on, what's the views within China about how they're tackling the problem. And that's interesting actually. Right. The first thing is this is a Caxton report. It says, look, the developers impose huge haircuts on creditors in latest debt overalls. Now that is this is the first time I'm seeing such a story, which means that people have come to the thing that the creditors the developers are not able to pay back money. They don't have money left. There's no sales in property. I'm now talking of property, it will spread to other sectors. There's no sale of property. So What's the story? The creditors have to bear a haircut. So they have to lose that money. As simple as that. I mean, put it in simple terms. Right. And there's an interesting thing, in this analysis which I read. I'm not right. In China, deposits are protected by some law, whatever. So he says, which means that to the extent that the creditors ultimately taking the losses are banks. So if I have a deposit, that deposit is, in some ways protected. But it's not that I get money, that's a different story. But in some ways it is protected. So if my deposit is protected and the bank has given money to a developer and the developer can't repay now, it's no more rolling the loan over and all that. End of story. The banks have to get the loss. And how will these losses get covered? After all, there's a circulation which is going on in China. It will be either by direct or indirect transfers to the bank or from households, businesses, or local governments. Someone has to fund that bank. The bank doesn't have money. It's all paper money which is floating around in China. Then he says, for 3 years, developers have relied on this extend and pretend policy. That's gone. So banks are going to take a hit, which they'll pass it on to someone else, and someone is going to take a hit. Which I always say the guy who will get hit is the man on the street. I mean, yesterday I showed you the thing about the common man. The common man in China is worse off. At least for us. The common man is made a hero during elections and everyone begs him for votes. Okay. In China, that is also not there. He doesn't have a choice. Right? On the other hand, he is given lollipops. Look, your money, give it to the bank. Bank will make, all that. And that's also not happening. It's a pretty sad state, right? Which is happening. And we'll look at it a little further. Now, Chinese banks boost charges to offset record low profitability metric. Why? The interest margins in China today are almost zero. So if you put money in the bank doesn't give you any interest. But people have no choice but to put money in the bank because they know the form of investment. I'm talking about common people or gold. No shares. People are not buying shares. So what are the banks doing? Banks are making money on services. So banking services in China have gone up. They have to make profit, isn't it? So if they are in a very low interest rate regime, I think the time has come when if you have to park money in China in a bank, you have to pay the bank for it. So the service charges are kicking in. That's huge. So these are all metrics which are interesting to her. Then there's this article I saw in which there's this guy called Li Yang. He's a director of China's National Institution for Finance and Development and the deputy head of Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, which is a big think tank with them. He says there are three major macroeconomic problems. And this is coming straight out of China. This is a Guancha thing. He says domestically, effective demand is weak. So same, consumption is weak. Goods prices are tepid. So I'll get to this thing called prices. Prices are tepid means they're going down. Expectations are weak. This is what these people are talking of. Under such circumstances, spurring economic growth, driving technological process, raising employment, and improving income distribution all face extreme pressure. They're not able to do it simply. Internationally, once in a century challenges are accelerating. Advance of globalization is slackening. China thrives on globalization, and this deglobalization which is happening, where people are tariffs are protection. That's what's happening. Everyone is putting up tariffs. Even China has put up tariffs. So the moment protection takes place, deglobalization is happening, and that is killing China, right? Slackening due to certain great powers going their own way. Geopolitics is intensifying, and global situation is showing fragmentation, multipolarization, and bipolarization. Okay, three major economic challenges. Second one, globalization, and third, he talks of stable coins. Stable coins is a new animal which has come into the horizon. To be very honest, I don't know too much about it, but EU, US, Hong Kong, all these people are getting into it. These are going to come into the lexicon of government monetary policies. If that happens and it comes into the Chinese system also, there's a problem because no one, you don't know where the trust is. It's going to be a major, they will do something internally, but no one will trust the Chinese stablecoin. In any case, no one trusts the crypto of Chinese. I don't know how it runs. I'm not too familiar with it. But the fact is that all these challenges make financial, monetary policies, theory, everything more difficult for China. And these three, they don't have, all these. The thing which I wanted to put across to everyone is all these guys come out with the problems. They don't have solutions. I've read most of these fellows, their articles. There are no solutions. Oh, government should do this, government should do that. Upar upar. What is the real solution to that problem is not there. Okay. Now, this is again a very interesting article, not for the content. I'll read the headlines because the story is in the headlines, not in the content. China urged to take bolder steps to tackle price wars, deflation, and weak demand. We knew about the price wars, we knew about the weak demand. For the first time, people are talking of deflation. For the past 8 to 9 months, prices have reduced, demand has reduced. There's no inflation. You need inflation for your economy to grow. There's deflation. Again, typical of China. Last year, when I spoke of China, I had a lot of trolls. Deflation when in Chinese related videos. A lot of trolls used to come and make fun. These days, even they don't come. Very funny. Even the Chinese trolls are missing. And when I checked, why is my subscription not going? It's coming down. Someone told me, look, a lot of trolls and bots are being taken off. Possible. Okay, possible. I don't know, but right. So this word deflation has come into headlines in China, which was not there earlier. So debt, deflation, weak consumption, these are the headlines which are coming up today. No one spoke of deflation. Look, others could have spoken of deflation, not within China, not in Chinese media. That's coming up now. It's coming up recurrently. Okay. Now there's this guy Michael Pettis, who I think who's an economics professor who understands Chinese economy better than most. And whenever I am in doubt, I go to him. Right. There's a Caxin article on, it says in depth key challenges of China's next 5-year plan. What are the 5-year plan challenges which China faces? And this article, unfortunately, is behind a paywall and I can't subscribe to it. So I didn't get, but Michael Pettis has put it out. There are 5 top economists of China. They have opined and the major challenges which China faces in its next 5-year plan. China still adopts a 5-year plan principle. What is the story? We need to read it to understand what's happening in China. It says previous 5-year plans didn't put sufficient emphasis on demand side of the economy. They didn't bother about local demand. They only bothered about export. And they paid more attention to production, supply, investment. This is not just one fire plan. This is their history. This is their history. They believe more in production, more in investment, all that. We know it's an investment driven economy. Investment into infrastructure, investment into property. The demand they didn't, and the demand was through investment. Whereas it should have been the other way. It should have been consumption which will drive investment. That didn't happen. Right. And then all of them concur. The main contradiction now is insufficient domestic demand. They don't have money. Okay. Export growth is stalling. All five agree. All top chaps agree. Export growth is stalling, along with growth in fixed asset investment. Both. Okay. Now, what is this problem? Why isn't demand picking up in China? Then what are the symptoms? Export consumption, particularly household consumption, is the weak link. Huang Qinhai adds that China's manufacturing value added accounted for 30% of the global total, yet household consumption is only 11%. Why is this happening? Very simple. There's another guy, Wang Dihua. He says household incomes remain a relatively small part of national income, and low earners' wages are rising slowly. But people don't have money. Income is not there. Wages are low. Jobs are scarce. Even if jobs are scarce, they have to go at a pay cut. Entry level jobs are not there. So if a chap doesn't have a job, he'll do two things. He'll not spend money, he'll save it for his rainy day. It's not consuming. That money goes into the bank, and the bank now, of course, charges him now hereafter money to keep it in the bank. That's a different. What does the money bank do? Bank has to invest it somewhere. Now they can't invest it anywhere because their loans with these that extend and pretend policy is not finished. Now the banks have to be solvent, so they're not investing this money anywhere. They have to absorb those. You see, when you said transfer of income from household to sort out these loans, so the bank had money. I mean, look at it. Very simple. Bank had 100 rupees money. It gave to a developer. That fellow cannot now return that money back. So bank has got a 100 rupee hole. Now I am a common man in China. I have 100 rupees. I can't spend it anywhere. I don't want to spend it anywhere. So I give it to the bank in saving deposit. Bank doesn't give me any interest. So bank just keeps the money. So what has the bank done? It has covered that hole, which happened because the developer didn't pay. Isn't it? So that bank is remaining solvent by taking my money. I'm a common man. But on the other hand, what do? I actually paid the developer earlier to get a flat, which he's not given me. He's not giving me. Okay. If I don't have that flat, I have to pay mortgage to the same bank out of the same money which I'm getting. So I can't spend. So the bank takes my 100 rupees and uses it to pay off against the mortgage. So the bank is sitting pretty. The developer doesn't have, he's already spent that money. Who loses? The double whammy is the common man. So how will consumption go up? When you read these fellows, you understand the bind which China is. I'm talking in very simple terms. I'm not giving macroeconomic policies. I'm giving you simple examples. This is the reality. This is the reality of China. Okay. Yeah. Household income remains a small part of national income. Low earners' wages are rising slowly. That is nothing. None of this is specially new. That's the important thing. But what's relatively new is that now there is an overwhelming consensus. Everyone knew it. That's what Michael Peters says. Everyone knew it, but everyone is now agreeing to the fact this is the problem. But like I said, there's no solution to this. No one is giving a solution to this. They can't give a solution. Why? Boosting household share of GDP to resolve weak domestic demand will be a very difficult proposition politically. Which means the government has to put money in the hands of the people. That's what US did. They put money in the hands of the people and created jobs for them. I'm going back to 1934. They said spend and do job, whatever job. That job could be, the Keynesian way of doing things. You dig a ditch, you get 10 rupees. So you get 10 rupees, you live, whatever, and you revive the economy that way. Is China prepared to do that? It's not done it. Why? If tomorrow the Chinese people get money in their hands, they might do one of the two things. One, because they are already in debt. If the Chinese government gives them money, they might take that money and square their debts up. End of story. The consumption will not happen. So that's one of the first thing they have a problem. So the money comes one way, goes the other way into the bank or repay loans. So it'll end up that China will start the financial hole in China will shift from banks, developers, and all to the central government or the local governments, which are already in a hole there. The second thing, the guy goes, takes this money, spends, the economy comes up, and he gets a good job, and he's okay and starts getting up. That happens, politically he becomes a problem. Why did this whole story start? The whole story started because as people started becoming rich, they started disregarding the Communist Party. This is the mandate given to Z 10 years back. Middle income, country, all that. If they do that and this becomes a rich country, CCP will go. The relevance of the Communist Party will vanish. There will be a new party which will come up. Politically, it's not feasible. And moreover, at this point of time, when there's a power struggle going on, no one will have the guts to put money in the hands of the people. The people might throw them out. That's their worry. And they'll never do it. If they don't do it, the problem remains. And as time goes down the road, the problem will exaggerate, which means that China is just kicking the can down the road with no solution. This is something we must understand. So you're going to always have a weak China financially hereafter. I'm not saying this. I'm inferring from what these chaps have said. See, this is the headlines. Will China bid to boost domestic demand pay off? These are the questions. They don't have answers for this. Right? Then they did this trade-in program and all, which I spoke of earlier. What is this trade-in program? You get your old story, old item, give it, and buy a new item, and the difference is subsidized. Again, the subsidy is at the expense of the people. So I go buy a new thing. How many times can I do it? I'll have a fridge. I'll have a this. Yeah, 2-3 items in my house. I'll go do trade and get new things. And after that, what? I don't have money left for the next. That's also reached its limit. Okay, trade-in, bro, it's got very little, right? What's actually happening is that trade-ins is boosting foreign goods sales. That's the interesting part in China. There's an oversupply of solar panels. First it was EVs, now solar panels. Now China says, "Oh, we will tackle this oversupply," but it was China which encouraged this oversupply. Xi Jinping, new productive forces, new technology, all that. Even yesterday in the BRICS meeting, that Li Qiang went and said, "No, no, China will do new productive forces." No one's interested in that now because it's killing them. I will not take Chinese solars. Everyone will look. Everyone will take some, but beyond the point, if they take their own internal thing, will get wrecked. It started with EVs, now solars. Now the next will be lithium-ion batteries. I mean, I said yesterday, India has gone to Argentina, Ghana, Namibia, and all for what? Minerals. You get lithium from Argentina, you make your own lithium-ion batteries. You get technology, buy technology, give it to the private chap. He'll get technology from wherever he has to. He's got the raw material, he's got the thing, he'll make batteries and give it. So, same thing will happen for solar panels, same thing will happen for others. And then now the trade deal has also kicked in. Okay. Today, China, if you see the list of countries where Trump has said there will be about 12 countries, tariffs will be there. Even on Bangladesh, there's 35% tariff. Why on Bangladesh? Because Bangladesh imports a lot of goods from China and remakes it and gives it to USA. Same thing on Cambodia, Malaysia, Indonesia, all these countries which depend on primary goods from China are now at high tariff rates. They've said, we don't want to deal with you. Thank you. So who it's going to hit? Now China has said it has warned countries not to sign US trade deals at its expense. But they have no choice. They have no choice. But look at it. Vietnam has already done it. Vietnam has said, okay, we'll say whatever is the trade deal between Vietnam and USA is 20% tariff. But that's for goods which are manufactured in Vietnam. But if they're sourced from China, it's 40%. It's 40%. This is it. There's a nice New York Times article, which all of us must know about this tariff business. Says Trump wants the world to squeeze out China. He's starting with Vietnam. So the tariff war is not going China's way. I'm not for one moment saying that it's going US way. US will get hit. I'm not bothered. It's good for us. But China is the issue. See the whole explanation. We'll go through it, and I'll explain it to you also. Vietnamese exports to US will face 20% tariff. Okay, it is less than what Trump had threatened, but they have reached a deal, and Vietnam has accepted it. But the deal would be a 40% tariff on any exports from Vietnam classified as transshipment. So if it comes from China, transship, right, or goods that originated in other country and were merely passing through Vietnam. So the Chinese route through Vietnam means 40% tariff. Now what will China do? China will it threaten Vietnam? It can't, because and whatever Vietnam has done, it's in its interests. Now on one side, Trump is also threatening everyone with tariffs. If you don't follow my thing, you will have tariffs. This chap is also saying, if you go with USA, I will, come down heavily on you. Every country will now say, to hell with you, I'll do what I want. The moment that happens, China is at risk, like it has happened with USA. How much Chinese inputs will be allowed in Vietnamese exports and how they will be enforced is a question. But I'm sure something will come out of it. And it says a lot of small Chinese guys come to Vietnam just to relabel their products before they are exported to US. See the problems which are happening. Southeast Asia is struggling to beat back the torrent of goods from China that are putting domestic companies out of business. In recent years, with the Chinese economy threatened by a real estate crisis, the government has heavily subsidized factories, leading to a surge in Chinese exports around the world. So this struggle is going on. At some point of time, all these Southeast Asian countries will say thank you. And now with that, whatever Trump has said, they will all have to fall in line. And it's going to hit not only these countries, it will hit China. Ultimately, the root is China. Okay? Right. Now, again, they're doing financial hocus pocus. China is now trying to do a 30 trillion yuan debt swap. Debt swap is all hocus pocus. It is revolving money. This is what they're trying because they can do nothing else. That's the problem. Housing market to stay polarized in 2025. This is all you see. Why I go to Ikai and Kexen, these are their economic portals. In Zenua and all, you don't get. It isn't this. And it's largely internal, mind you, to tell people where they stand. And they have to put it out because they've taken money from foreigners. This FDI. The chap who's put money will say, I want transparency. Otherwise, why should he put money? So they've, to a large extent, China has been forced to come out with these details. Yeah. China is now giving tax breaks to foreign investors who reinvest their profit. If I'm a foreign investor into China and I reinvest my profit, I get a tax break. Otherwise, but that's not happening. That's not happening at all. And I'll talk of it later during my technology thing, which I'll do in a day or two. What's happening? Because people are not investing in technology in China. All technology things are slowly shifting. Like I said 1 year back, when the Apple company was being set here, that Apple Foxconn combine was being set here. Apple is like a Pied Piper. The other rats will follow. That's happening. So this is a way to say, no, you invest your profit share and we'll give you tax break. It's not only in Caxin, even Ekai has come up. They said we'll give you 10%. That, but it's not happening. And why it's not happening, I'll talk in technology. And I'll also talk tomorrow on this issue on the India-China dynamic. Because the India-China dynamic has assumed certain friction. And that friction we need to understand. And that friction might lead from, we are now, see, earlier we were in a state of peaceful coexistence with China. Thereafter, we went in, now at this point of time, we are in a state of armed coexistence with China. Pehle peaceful coexistence, armed coexistence now. So from armed coexistence, are we going into armed confrontation? What is the trajectory? Peaceful coexistence, armed coexistence, armed confrontation. That's the trajectory. We need to examine this. At this point of time, we are somewhere between armed coexistence and armed confrontation. And we'll talk about it tomorrow. Because it needs, issues have come. But I'll not talk of it, the Dalai Lama issue, Rafale issue, all that. We'll talk of it tomorrow. Okay. And then, very funnily, at one level, they say we are not into fixed investment anymore. But they put $167 billion for transport infrastructure in the first 5 months of this year, up to May. They're still spending on infrastructure, which will not give them any returns. One doesn't know whether these are finishing old projects or replacing, because a lot of their infrastructure got washed away over years due to floods and all that. When it's happening this year, last year also it happened, year before that also happened. Every time floods comes, a lot of infrastructure goes. So is it to make that up or finish projects which have started? We don't know. But they're still spending quite a lot on infrastructure, which probably they need or don't need. I don't know. I mean, this is something which I've not been able to put my fingers on. But we know infrastructure spending, is injurious to health. It's like cigarette smoking, as far as China is concerned. Pension funds are being misappropriated by local governments. So funds which they have collected, which has a tremendous impact on people, on pensioners, old age people. They don't have money, so the consumption there is going to go even worse. So the next social indicator is poverty going to go up in China? It's possible. Old age, I don't have any money. I'm not in a job. My pension fund, which I was the local government, they're not able to give me money. What do I do? What do I do? I go back into poverty, and and my son and my grandson can't take care of me because my grandson, if he's working 3 generations, he has to take care of 12 people up the chain. So there is a huge internal problem, and this internal problem is what is driving the political problem. They know why is Xi Jinping being pushed out, and they are hoping, they even the guys who are trying to push out Xi Jinping, Wang Yang and Jiang Yuan, they don't have solutions. Let me tell you. But Xi Jinping is not out. He says domestic market is at the forefront. There's a struggle going on still, which I spoke of earlier. He is talking of some unified market. We don't know what this whole story is. They're all, and whatever Xi Jinping has tried economically so far has failed. Whether it's dual circulation or this or that, new productive forces he started 2 years back. All those new productive force, all those are now killing each other. Overproduction, overcapacity, no one is selling. So price cutting, all that same story. It's the same story. Okay. Xi Jinping, if he's trying this new market forces, he'll collapse. They still want USA, and they fought with USA. And USA is not relenting. Trump is not relenting. Many people say Trump is doing it only for domestic purposes. Fine, if he's doing it for domestic purposes. But whatever he's doing for his domestic purposes is hurting China big time. Okay. Yeah. Now, the political thing, all this upward pressure is changing the government. Now, Xi Jinping has come out with this new thing that I will delegate more power to the deputies to ward off the pressure from his other factions. But the thing is, this is something he did 5 years back also. And nothing, he didn't do anything. He made the statement, gave some powers and took them back. So is that same story happening? That power struggle is also going to kill them. That power struggle will not allow them to come out with a policy. Foxconn Chinese employees have been evacuated from India. They all gone back. There are reasons for this because outside we're not this thing. We'll discuss this tomorrow because I think this dynamic of, like I told you, peaceful coexistence to armed coexistence, armed confrontation. We'll have to examine it. We'll have to examine it seriously. Okay. So I'm just giving this entire debt thing. I'm getting a few issues in. Right. And the crowd is not quiet. It's taking, aim at China. As we discussed the Quad 4 days back, the business of East China Sea, South China Sea, pointed references to China, and India is part of that story. Critical minerals, all this is hitting China. There are alternatives. You see, the point is, if you go back in time, till the time China cooperated with USA politically and the West politically, everything was hunky dory. Ever since that has, Xi Jinping came with this thing that China centric world order, all that, and he's built his military to whatever it is, and he's built his power base to whatever it is, and his BRI has given him geopolitical influence, no doubt about it. So now USA is very clear. It's countering all this. The moment it is countering all this, China has no answers. And that it has lost capacity to spread its production outside. Wind back, regress back. So there's a regression happening because of all this. And after all this, such things come out in the Western media about transplants in Xinjiang, Uyghur organ harvesting and all that. We don't know whether it's right or wrong, but it's there. So if you think there is only China can play this game of info war, no, USA is as good. In fact, it's even worse as far as I'm concerned, because it controls the global media, right? So all this is happening in China, and I mean, we have to understand this. Why I'm speaking of this is the internal economy of China is going down faster than we imagine or we can imagine, right? Where will it lead to? Will it lead to an externalization? If it does, will it be India? That we'll discuss tomorrow. And how will it come? What's the threat now from China? Why should I read about their debt? From these internal things, their internal political dimensions, their economic dimensions, their geopolitical equations tells us what they can do against us. And we'll discuss that tomorrow. And after that, I'll take up technology, those 12 technologies which I felt, are changing the military world and also the civil world, right? So we'll discuss that day after. But tomorrow, India, China. Thank you for all for attending today. Grateful. If you like this video, do subscribe to Ghana Shot and also press the like button. I'll be grateful to you. Like I always say, what I put across to you is not my view, right? Or this is all reference material. It's authentic. I keep telling this again and again, because here I'm not in a race to compete with other channels. I'm not in a race to give you masala. I would like more viewership, but it is not at the cost of diluting what reality is, what realistic analysis is. Okay, it has to be authentic. And I do thank all of you who have joined me today in the discussion. We'll take some questions. We have time. Okay. Thanks a lot, Lionel, for becoming a YouTube member. Sir, any information on Andaman oil and production projection? I'll not talk of it. We have what the Union Minister, Mr. Hardeep Singh, came out. There is something going on. I think we need to wait a bit, because we shouldn't be premature. I remember once, Imran Khan once said, they've spent $5 million about 7-8 years back, I think. No, when Imran Khan, 7-8 years, nahin, Imran Khan after 4-5 years back. Around the time Taliban left, Afghanistan was evacuated by USA. They spent $5 million for oil exploration of the Makran coast. And these initial things came. And then he made an announcement, oh, the fortunes of Pakistan are going to change. We are going to get $20 billion oil reserves, yeah, whoa, all that. And nothing came out of it. So similarly, let us wait. Let us wait and then we'll take a call because we shouldn't jump the gun. And nothing happens later, we'll look like fools. I don't want to talk about it till I'm very clear what is coming out. Right. Akash, good morning. Sundram, good morning to you also. Hans, good morning. French Fry Fury, also good morning to you. Oh, you're ready with your book and pen. Now, why do you want to have a book and pen? You just see this video, see the slides. That's why I put it in black and white so that you can, those who of you who are wanting to learn, you can take those things. And I don't give links of those screenshots and all that, but you type that headline into the Google the headline. Just Google the headline, you'll get the article. Yeah, Lofi says good morning. Thanks a lot. Start your live streaming at 9:10 p.m. That is the most convenient time for all. There's a problem. I'll be very honest with you. I'm an early bird. I get up early in the morning at about 4:30. So I can't start it at 10. And I'll go unwell. I'll be very honest with you. And I have work in the daytime. I normally come back by about 4:35, put my thoughts together, 8 to 9. I do this 8, 9, 9:15, and then have dinner and go to sleep. I don't get, and in between I have to read also because every day I have to talk to all of you. So I'm sorry, I'll not be able to do that. I used to do it earlier, but I just didn't have the capability of doing it. That's why 8 to 9. But if everyone says 9 o'clock, right, then I will go by it. 9 is still okay. I do it and go to sleep. Okay. But I'm less to 9, but I need feedback from you people whether it's 9 o'clock is okay. And evening time, I get guests, from others who come and speak. So for them, 9 o'clock is also too late. It's not fair on my part. But let me see. You people can come back and let me know. Once you let me know, then I will take a call accordingly. Right. Vasu, thanks a lot. And I must thank you for saying that Pinaka mug was good. I know it's good. I must tell you people all, we made those, merch, t-shirts, mugs and books and all that. You know what? I don't have one also. And I can't buy one. It's sitting in India. I'm not getting another guy who can make all this in India. I know that guy who's making in USA has got very high quality, but I don't have it. Maybe someday when I come to USA, I'll buy it. Because if you buy it in USA, from USA in India, I have to pay the same amount for uh, you know transport charges. So it's not worth it. Delivery charges are the same amount. Becomes phenomenally expensive. But I'm going to get more uh, designs. So you people have a choice more as you go along, right? That's how it is. And it's been designed very well. In fact, the same theme of the design, I'm going to put it in something else, and officially, same theme, not the same one, in something else. And I'll come back and show it to all of you once it is inaugurated. Yeah, I also listened to Jeffrey Sachs and John Mearsheimer. They project that China is the leader and not mentioned too much about issues with demography, etc. Wondering why they're hiding CN China issues. It's their way of looking at it. I don't agree with what Mershammer talks, and I don't agree with Jeffrey Sachs at all. Completely, I don't agree with him. The world is saying, and the Chinese themselves are saying these are the problems. Am I telling you anything which I originated? These are the issues which are coming in Chinese media. If the Chinese media says they are in a debt problem, and if you don't recognize it, what's the problem of their debt? And then you say China is a great country, then I think people are wrong. We have to do primary things. If you want to build a wall, you need the bricks. Are your bricks in order? If your bricks are not in order, that wall will collapse. That's what's happening in China. You can't be imaginary about what China can do or not do. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Yogesh, for this. Please click the like button to everyone, subscribe and to this channel and turn on notification. Um, okay. Thanks a lot. Love the data and the analysis. The like button even before start of the video. Thanks a lot, Sham, for this. Good morning, Rohan. So nice to see you back. How much time it takes to extract rare earths or to get from other countries to replace China's leverage ASAP? Right. A valid question. Right. The entire process will take time for us. Why? I did this. If you want, I'll repeat this whole story again on rare earths in India. We have adequate rare earths in India. It's not that we don't have. We have certain rare earths you don't have. That's okay. That doesn't matter because with the rare earths which you have, you can trade for other rare earths. Okay, you can trade with China, and for some time we were only believing in selling the raw material. Now the government has stopped selling raw material, so they now you have to make it here. Uh, it's not the time which is taken to extract rare earths. It's the pollution. Okay, it's a contamination, and it is the environmental degradation which will stop you. That is why China took the risk of and accepted the problems. So they've got it, and they're suffering for it. Incidentally, now they've transferred that problem to Myanmar. I did this on Myanmar. Myanmar is the place where they're getting rare earths based on dysprosium. And those dysprosium are the ones which are required for magnets. Which I've done this. Put rare earths in gunner shot infected, and you'll get 3 videos on it. Okay. So we don't have dysprosium, but we have samarium. We have a lot of samarium. Samarium is today being talked of as the alternative to dysprosium. And that is why our country we have set up a park in Bhubaneswar and Vizag, and things are changing. It will take time. This ecosystem has to develop. Okay, so that's how it is. Yeah, there are reports of a Beijing mega military city, larger than the Pentagon, more makeup to hide. Yeah, that's it. I don't give much credence to it. They want to match everything. See this they still feel that they have this capability to outmatch China. Why? Because of Trump. Trump has given them this window. They feel that Trump is going to force America to look inwards. That's their opportunity because there's no one else to replace America when that vacuum happens. Okay, and if Russia is in their pockets, it's done. But I don't think so. There is a dichotomy in the Chinese thinking. There's a huge confusion in the Chinese thinking. So I won't bother too much about it. What is megacity? It is just all headquarters put together. That's it. With the dismal state of real estate, no jobs for the young and flooding of cities, Chinese are running off their rural routes. That's an economic disaster. I agree with you completely. Hans says they are building an underground military command center larger than Pentagon, but no worries. As Major Madan Kumar said, India is developing bunker bus. I also the Major Madan Kumar. I don't know who he is. Okay. His credentials I've never heard of. See, why I say so is this. He must be good. I must listen to him. I have nothing against him. But I will trust the chap who talks of China, who publishes about China, researches about China, and is known in military circles. Understand? I get people who are known in military circles and international circles. Anyone whom I don't know, I feel that, sorry, there are people like Madan Kumar and others, throughout my service, I never heard about them. Okay. And suddenly I see them on YouTube. They do some superficial research and come and put it. Maybe he's doing damn good research. But if he is doing damn good research, he has to publish papers. I used to write quite a bit. I must tell you this. I can't write anymore because whatever research I do on writing, I'm putting it in front of you people. But still, I publish. Every month, I publish in a journal, a military journal, on a topic of their choice. Right now, by tomorrow, I have to give article, part of a book on Op Sindoor, researched on what covert warfare and things like that. Okay, yeah. So to keep production costs low, CPC deliberately transferred money to people low. Yeah, that's what I think so. Yeah. Does IMF need to correct China's GDP's estimate? It is pegged at 24 trillion for 2029. They're manipulating it. They're manipulating the IMF through the people who are on the board. And people are accepting it. So who are we to say no? Let it go. But the reality is something different. One. Number two, the way GDP is calculated. The way GDP is calculated, they put up those numbers. Look, you build up a building, it is GDP. You destroy that building, it is GDP. Floods come and destroy everything. Even the rescue work is taken as GDP. That's the way China calculates. So don't go by this GDP. There's a lot of dead and fake GDP in China. Yeah, we've asked this question. What happened to all comments? What happened? I don't know because yeah. Ultimately, it took a war to shore up U.S. recession in 30s. Yes, U.S. is using it. U.S. is using all these wars to shore up it. U.S. has used Ukraine as to shore up its economy. 3 years. Why will Ukraine? Why will U.S. not let the Ukraine war finish? Their defense industrial complex is getting money out of it. Okay. Now that Europeans are going to pay, America is going to laugh all its way to the bank. Yeah. Still, their infrastructure are world class, better than the Western country. Yeah, it will be good at this point of time because it's new. Let's wait another 5-10 years. See, Amitesh, what I see is you come up with counter arguments, but you don't use your brain. You don't look at it in the long term. When I say you don't use your brain, you don't look at it in the long term. You must look things what is today and what will be tomorrow and day after. That's the point. And what VS says is right. Reality has crashed. That's done. Yeah. There has been a huge outflow of Chinese money grabbing real estate in prime areas the world over. Is this government money or corrupt? This is completely corrupt money, which is flowing out. That's another reason why China can't recover. Yeah, I meant Babus, that's how it is. They can't recover because the money which was hidden, that corrupt money, has gone out to other places for real estate. కొట్టనివ్వండి. Yeah. Sir, in China, if a man doesn't have his own home or flat, no one will marry him. And in China, there is a reverse dowry. There are two pits of local. Yeah, I agree with you. There are a lot of problems. We don't even look at it. China always put short term gain, which leads to long term pain. I completely agree with your thinking. Mm, sounds like CCP is like a kid caught with hand in a candy jar. Yeah, I agree with you. Uh, yeah, their fundamentals broke the moment they brought in the one child policy. That I've been saying for long. Now things are coming out. I said this 6 years back. Okay. How will Tibetan issue play upon India China tomorrow? We'll talk of it tomorrow. Okay. Yeah. I Xi Jinping missing out or partially in office on the way out already. Will That's speculation. We'll see about it. There's a power struggle on, but he's still in office. I really enjoyed your conversation with General Narayan and Harimon. We'll get him back. We'll get both back hereafter. I'm going to do this on technology because all three of us are sitting there. We are involved in something. We want to share it with everyone. We'll do it. Yeah, super analysis, financial crunch explained beautifully. Wonder how you mastered finance also. Look, I've been reading China for the past 20, 30 years. Okay. And that's how you get to one to the other. Yeah. In China, even fruits are not sold, farmers throwing out possible, right? And right. Yeah. Share this video and like this video. Thanks a lot, Chinnandu, for your comment. Thank you for explanation in simple words. Yeah. Just give it to all your friends. They should know, understand. Yeah. Secularism is great. Secularism not. I agree with you. We'll talk of it some other day. Is there any way of increasing India's investment into heavy machinery as China stops the supply of heavy machinery to India? Yeah, that's the whole story which we explained yesterday. That's what's happening, no? R&D into sunrise and strategic sectors. That's what they're doing. Let's see. Yeah, 2000 is just fine. So we'll go with 2000. Uh, Please continue with your high quality content. You will get a very good quality audio. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm very clear on that. Yeah, why is China going against the US when it's currently trying to reign in China? Because US is going against us also, as simple as that. Yeah, and yeah, I like the fact that all of you are discussing amongst yourself. It's good. Give your points, and so that we have a healthy discussion amongst people. Right. Thanks for your organic based facts backed by facts discussion. Thank you. Getting hold of Ghana Shot Maxun. I hope morning 9 show is big thumbs up. Yeah, 9 is convenient for all. Evening also will stick to 8. If there's a problem, then we'll see. China recently announced hydroelectric dam on Yuku River, which feeds into Salwan. Yeah, that's what they're doing it. But let us see. All this is announcements. Whether they'll be able to do, we'll see. Right. Okay. So I have, yeah, obviously here is this chap, Jeff Yang. He's obviously from China. He says USA is our enemy, but I think China is our biggest enemy, right? I look at it this way because for many reasons, which I've explained, but that's some other day. Okay. Thanks a lot for joining in. So grateful to all of you who have joined in today. I hope, by evening we're going to talk of Pakistan. There's something funny happening in Pakistan, which we're going to talk a bit about Munir and Bilawal Bhutto and all that. There's something brewing there. So is this fellow who's a deceiver going to become a dictator? Is an issue. We'll talk of it in the evening. That will be through alternate media channel. And till then, have a great day. 8 o'clock in the evening, we'll meet. Right? Thank you. Morning and Jai Hind.